Most household pets, like hamsters or chameleons, measure their lives in just a few years, but the blue-tongued skink operates on a different timeline. In the Australian outback, these lizards face a daily gauntlet of predators, seasonal drought, and unpredictable food scarcity. When you bring them indoors, you eliminate those evolutionary pressures, allowing their bodies to rest. This timeline compares wildlife spans against captive potential. In the wild, a skink typically hits a ceiling of about 10 to 15 years. But in a managed captive setup, that bar stretches to 20, 25, or even 30 years. Acquiring a hatchling is a massive commitment. You are adopting an animal that will likely outlast a child's entire journey from kindergarten all the way through high school graduation. But that 30-year potential isn't a guarantee just because the animal lives inside your house. While 4 glass walls lock out hawks and dingoes, they also lock the skink into an artificial biome that you control. By removing the fast threats of the outback, captivity introduces a new set of slow-moving physiological dangers: stagnant climates, unbalanced nutrition, and invisible atmospheric deficiencies. If those variables aren't calibrated, the enclosure stops being a sanctuary. It becomes a slow-acting trap, quietly degrading the animal's biology month by month and resulting in a preventable early death. The fastest way to cut a skink's life in half is assuming every subspecies requires the exact same care. This chart compares the 2 main skin categories. On the left, Australian northern subspecies are heavily captive-bred and genetically robust. On the right, Indonesian subspecies like the Merauke are frequently wild-caught and burdened with parasites, dropping their captive lifespan to 12 to 18 years. Identifying your exact subspecies is the first requirement to keeping it alive past a decade. For robust northern skinks, the biggest threat to longevity is an epidemic hiding in plain sight: chronic overfeeding. These animals are designed to burn an immense amount of calories, pushing through dry brush and soil just to find a scarce seasonal meal. In a terrarium, that physical demand disappears. Instead, they receive a bowl of protein-dense dog food several times a week while burning zero energy to catch it. Because they have no biological signal telling them to stop eating, they rapidly accumulate visceral fat. This triggers fatty liver disease and cardiovascular strain, making obesity the leading preventable cause of death for adult northerns. Food and heat are easy to see, but skinks also rely on invisible environmental inputs. Simply providing a warm basking bulb is insufficient for survival. They require specific wavelengths of ultraviolet light, or UVB. Without it, their skin does not synthesize vitamin D3, meaning their bodies lose the ability to absorb calcium from their diet. This skeletal wireframe shows the direct result of UVB deprivation. The skeleton softens and warps, developing into metabolic bone disease. You can dust their food with calcium powder, but without that invisible light spectrum, their bones will deteriorate regardless of their diet. The atmosphere itself is just as dangerous if you apply a generic climate to every skink. If you place an Indonesian skink, evolved for 80% tropical humidity, into an Australian-style enclosure at a dry 40%, its body begins to fail. The dry air pulls moisture from their lungs, triggering chronic respiratory infections. Outwardly, layers of dry, unshed skin build up around their toes, acting like bands that cut off blood flow and sever the digits. Mismatched humidity induces a structural failure of the respiratory system that permanently caps how long the animal can survive. Beating this captivity paradox requires stepping away from guesswork and adopting a mindset of precise environmental engineering. This layout shows 3 critical tools: a solar meter for exact UV levels, a thermostat eliminating temperature stress, and a digital scale to catch obesity early. These specific tools are what turn basic pet care into exact, life-extending biological science. Removing a blue-tongued skink from the harsh realities of the wild extends their potential survival by decades, but only if the captive environment is rigorously defended. When you bring one home, you take on the role of Mother Nature. You agree to calibrate the light, heat, and moisture every single day. It is a demanding quarter-century commitment. But if you master those variables, you earn one of the most enduring and fascinating companions in the animal kingdom.